Dragon Ball Fan-Mangas are certainly interesting. I don't think it's wrong to say that Dragon Ball probably has one of the largest followings when it comes to fan mangas, and I think that's great. I love that the fandom's passion for the series has led to various different creators giving their fair go at making a Dragon Ball story of their own. Some creators even being lucky enough to work for these official series. That being said, there's a lot of rough ones. Earlier this year, I started reading through a bunch of the popular ones, mostly with Solar, partially because I was interested in making a video on them, which I might still do. And the highs and lows of our experience was insane. Some were great, some were better than I expected, some were painfully mid, even as Kakume. But at a point in our journey when all hope felt lost, like we just were not having a good time anymore, this fan manga came to our rescue. It is so good. It understands the series so much it could genuinely pass as official material. I am not kidding. Out of all of the popular fan mangas I've read through, it was this one. This completely unknown, roughly translated fan work that won my heart. Its name is Dragon Ball Super Kai, and it is the best Dragon Ball fan manga you have never read. Dragon Ball Super Kai is a fan manga written and drawn by Toshio Wataru, set right after the events of the Tournament of Power but before any of the Broly stuff. I'll just give a bit of a rundown of the main plot real quick, but I'll try and keep it brief. It opens up with Freeza kind of just mucking around, pissed about the tournament, destroying planets, until he's interrupted by a strange man, and claims to be nothing more than a wandering traveler. In fact, even specifying that they might come from a different dimension or universe or whatever. But Freeza, of course, isn't really in the mood and just tries blasting him, which doesn't really go too well. Goku and Whis sense the commotion and go over to investigate, where we learn that this wandering traveler is none other than Whis' older brother and Universe 13 angel, Vodka. Or Murno, or Waka, or whatever. Look, I know most people call him Murno, and it's even the name the author approved of, or whatever, but Vodka was the name he was given in the English translation I read, and it's also the original name the author gave him, so I'm just gonna stick with that one. I also just generally like the name more. I know it's a little on the nose! I like it! Anyways, we later learn about Vodka's origins from Whis and how his universe was erased by Zeno, leading to him isolating himself and acquiring various unknown techniques and abilities. Vodka then crashes the party, kidnaps Pan to make Goku fight him, then tosses Goku into Universe Zero, which is just a big ol' white void. The events from this point onward involve the rest of the Z-Fighters doing their best to put a stop to Vodka and his schemes, as well as slowly informing us more and more about him and his universe. Now, I wanted to keep my summary just a bit brief because I really recommend reading it for yourself, although keep in mind every English translated version I could find, including Mondo Cool's video, isn't entirely 100% accurate or consistent, and there's definitely going to be a bit of confusion between what's said in those versions and some of the stuff I cover in my video, so please keep that in mind during this video. I tried to get the best understanding on certain things by translating the original Japanese version myself, using Google Translate, which wasn't that great, but I also tried translating the Italian version among other versions just to, cross-reference between. There is absolutely no full guarantee that the version of events I describe is entirely faithful, but I'm like 95% sure it is, so again, just keep that in mind. Thank you. Anyways, what better place to start with how great this fan manga is than with the main antagonists themselves. Vodka is by far the most interesting and enjoyable fan-made Dragon Ball antagonist I have ever seen. Despite being the antagonist, he's constantly polite and laid back, and he's almost always treating those around him with respect. In fact, Dende even says he can't sense any malice intent in him whatsoever, but there's of course still some sense of moral ambiguity to him. He does kidnap a lot of people in the story, but Vodka also specifically does it to ensure that they're out of harm's way, meaning he and whoever he's fighting against are able to duke it out to their heart's content as much as they want. And it's also made abundantly clear that where he's put those people, they are safe. He's very energetic and charismatic too. Like, he's absolutely ecstatic over eating a parfait, he's excited about the idea of training Vegeta or just generally being around him, and he has an absolute blast during his and Vegeta's final battle. Anytime a scene has Vodka in it, he is the highlight. Also, just wanting to bring this back to how this started as me and Solo just binging a bunch of fan mangas, it is so refreshing to have an antagonist that isn't just some generic, overconfident, strong guy, Cell copy in terms of personality and stuff like that.
Vodka's just such a fun character. Like, again, it's like, already, I'm just like, I love this guy, because he's just like, he's just messing with Vegeta the whole time. He's literally having, like, lunch with Bulma. Like, he's just having a blast. Like, his charisma throughout these chapters is genuinely, like, so good. He has what, like, a lot of fan manga villains fail to capture, and that's just, like, some charm. Like, I get it. Everyone, when they're making a fan manga, they want to make the next Freeza. They want to make the next Cell. They want to make the next Boo, you know? Like, they want to find a way to top that. Here's the thing. They work as, like, one-offs. Like, I love Freeza, I love Cell, I love Boo, but, like, my god, like, especially Boo and Cell, they don't have much going for them, personality-wise. Cell's fun, don't get me wrong, and like the voice acting for both sub and dub like really like pushes charisma. But like a lot of the time he's a pretty blank state. I feel like most people that's like they copy the wrong things about like the villains. I mean Freeza especially, like everyone tries to make the new Freeza, but like they keep missing what exactly made Freeza so intimidating, and that was like how he was able to like come off as like seemingly nice, but there was just that twist of malice to him that made him like kind of uncomfortable to like watch. A lot of people that just like, oh no, Frieza's cool because like he killed Krillin or like he killed all these people and like he did all these bad things. It's like, well, yeah, that's what made him bad, but that's not what made him entertaining. You know? So like, and I think that's what a lot of fan mangas struggle with. They try to make their villain as bad as possible without thinking about how I can make them entertaining. And I think that's where Vodka shines. Because he's both like an interesting antagonist to like look through in terms of how strong he is, but he's also just fun to read, because, like, he has, like, all the right elements of, like, Whis and stuff, but, like, in his own kind of way, where, like, he has such an interesting obsession and intrigue in, like, the characters, Vegeta especially, that, like, you just want to keep reading more and find out what exactly is this guy's motive.
He's kind of like one big combination of Hearts from Heroes, few from the Xenoverse stuff, Whis and Battle of Gods Beerus, and all that. Like, he's calm, he's laid back, he's polite and respectful, yet he's also incredibly calculative and charismatic, and he's got a hatred for Zeno and the system of the gods and whatnot, which, don't worry, we'll get into later. Vodka also has a lot more deeper going on with his character than just being enjoyable to watch, which I appreciate as well. We're showing that Vodka loved his universe and how its erasure absolutely destroyed him. He spent years forming connections and relationships only for all of it to be sent down the drain. What's worse is that Zeno simply erased it just because they felt like it. Vodka did nothing wrong. Worst of all, his father and siblings, his family, the only connections he had left, did nothing to help him. The angels are expected to serve the Omni King and remain emotionally distant. If Zeno were to do something, they were simply expected to go along with it, and that's that. So to them, it's Vodka's fault. It's his own fault for getting too attached. He knew what his role was, yet he got attached anyways. His family prioritized their loyalty to Zeno more than their love for him. And that hurts Vodka immeasurably. Like, imagine that. Imagine your entire world is just destroyed and you're expected to just accept it and remain loyal to the man who destroyed it, just because that's your expected role as an angel. I feel like this plays in well with Dragon Ball Super's themes about the flaws of the gods, further highlighting the faults in the system. It isn't like Dragon Ball Super Kai just suddenly introduced this stuff either, it has roots in the actual series. We've seen angels remain unbothered by the erasure of their universe. In fact, we've seen an angel express sadness over the loss of their universe, in contrast to the others much like Vodka did. Kusu, the angel of Universe 10. In fact, something I realized when writing this video was just the amount of connections her and Vodka had. Both of them are the eldest siblings in their respective continuities, both are energetic and full of charisma unlike their more reserved and emotionally distant siblings, and they're both the only angels to openly mourn the loss of their universe. Speaking of angels from the official series that parallel Vodka, Merus. Merus is another angel that parallels Vodka quite a bit actually, mainly with how they both grew to love their universe to the point of breaking the angel's rule of not engaging in combat.
It's just interesting to have like a villain like Vodka, you know, who's like an angel who actually like was so passionate and like so caring towards his universe, you know. It's the idea of angels aren't meant to show emotions. Well, what if one of them did? And again, that's something that would actually be explored in canon with characters like Merus and stuff like that, which was like a lot of fun too. It's what like drew me to Merus as well.
Vodka's kind of like a representation of what Merus and Kusu could have become under different circumstances. And I feel like they're characters that understand Vodka's pain the most. They've seriously got tons of potential for interesting interactions that could have been really cool to explore. Maybe if DBS Kai were to ever be continued, but that's besides the point. Another tragic aspect of Vodka's character is his relationship with Vegeta. Now, at first I was kind of confused as to why Universe 13 was just a mashed together version of other universes rather than, adhering to how the other universes were in Super, but the more I thought about it, the more depressing Vodka's character became. It allows the story to establish a connection between Vodka and Vegeta prior to them meeting, with Vodka having known Vegeta from Universe 13. Vodka's obsession with Universe 7's Vegeta is all because of Universe 13's Vegeta. Vodka is constantly talking about his Vegeta, always comparing them. It's clear that Vodka considered his Vegeta to be a great friend, if not his greatest friend. His obsession with Vegeta in Universe 7 is just Vodka's way of coping with the loss of his universe. He's constantly hanging around and trying to make a connection with this new Vegeta by applying and talking about what he knew about his Vegeta. He's trying desperately to replicate the friendship he lost. Think about it. If your entire world was just wiped away, you had a chance to visit an alternate version of that world, one with all of your friends and loved ones, only they've lived lives you've had no part of, you'd want to try and replicate those relationships too, wouldn't you? You wouldn't have anything else besides that. There's this one moment between Vodka and Vegeta that really speaks for how much Vodka cared for him. They're about to have their rematch when Vodka starts explaining his portal ability and offers it to use it to help Vegeta become number one. Additionally, he reveals that the Vegeta of his universe was offered the same thing, and that's how he became the strongest. Vodka is trying to offer the new Vegeta the same deal he gave to the old Vegeta, and when the new Vegeta rejects his offer, it cements the fact that he will never be able to replicate what he had with his Vegeta. His greatest friend is gone forever, and he'll never be able to replicate what he had with him. It also shows how much new Vegeta has grown since his introduction. Old Vegeta's willingness to just take shortcuts to power and throw his own parents under the bus is incredibly reminiscent of how Vegeta was during the Saiyan and Namek arcs. With how he killed his own partner and abused Senkais and stuff like that. Yet even despite that, even with how different this Vegeta is, Vodka is fully content to die by his hands. Alright, now let's talk about... The one thing Vodka wants more than anything is freedom. He mentions Frieza's name sounding like freedom, he opts to not give Vegeta and the others a deadline, since not having one would make it seem like he has more freedom, and his weird clone self from Universe 0 directly mentions wanting freedom. Vodka is tied down by Zeno in his authority. He's constantly on the run from Whis and the Grand Priest, never able to stay in one place for too long, knowing if they catch up to him and bring him to Zeno, it's over. Which is precisely why Vodka is content with having his life taken by Vegeta. It allows him the freedom to determine how he dies himself. He gets the freedom to die on his own terms. And we see this taken to its climax at the end of the fan manga. Vodka and Vegeta trade blows, Vodka having the absolute time of his life, it being the first time in ages he's been able to enjoy himself this much. As their fight ends, Whis and the Grand Priest descend. There's no more running, he's cornered. The Grand Priest says that if Vodka is remorseful of his actions, he could potentially be forgiven. But Vodka questions whether he's saying this of his own free will, or if he's simply regurgitating Zeno's words. The Grand Priest stands firm with his stance. Everything follows the will of the Omni King. Vodka then asks Whis if he cares about Vegeta and the others, and what he'd do if they were to be erased. Very much trying to put Whis in his shoes. Whis shares his father's stance, however, that everything must follow the will of the Omni King. Knowing his family still refuses to see eye to eye with him, Vodka self-destructs, choosing to sooner die than be brought before the Omni King. In the end, he gets the freedom to die how he sees fit. Everyone else is just left in disbelief. They discuss whether or not he was even that bad, given how prior Dende stated he couldn't sense any malice. They discuss Vodka's need for freedom, and the page ends with Vegeta pondering if Vodka can finally be free with that. And then it's revealed Vodka actually had a backup clone and he's got some fun left to be had, I guess. Now, I'll get to that later, but something I just really want to cover first is Vodka's techniques and how they actually tie in really well with his character. Vodka is the lone survivor of his universe, so he has an ability to make clones of himself, clones he uses to talk to pass the time. Then you have his ability to create portals. Well, a cool reference to Janemba along with his barrier that gets weakened by insults or whatever. His portals allow him to transport himself anywhere he could possibly want in no time. A fitting ability for someone constantly on the run. His portal ability also helps make him an immediate force to be reckoned with, and is used incredibly well throughout the story. So, Vegeta arrives back at Capsule Corp. Bulma's calling him in, saying that a friend of his has visited, and it's Vodka. Vodka's there, sipping tea with Bulma, chatting away about all this stuff, and Vegeta's just left there, perplexed, confused why Vodka is suddenly just here, unannounced, for seemingly no reason. Then Bulma leaves to go get a parfait, so then Vegeta and Vodka are left alone to talk a bit. Then things get a bit odd. Vodka comments on the fact Bulma's taking an awful long time getting the parfait, so then he just uses a portal to get it himself and then enjoy it. And then Vegeta starts to get confused as well. Where is Bulma? Vodka mentions that he doesn't have that much time left since the Grand Priest and Whis are already on their way there. Vodka then thinks about verifying Vegeta's strength before Whis and the Grand Priest get there, but Vegeta is obviously reluctant. Of course, their battle would lead to many casualties in West City, until Vegeta notices something. It's quiet. West City, a thriving metropolis, and yet it's dead silent. There's no one there. Vodka was able to kidnap every single person in West City while simultaneously eating a parfait and sipping tea right in front of Vegeta. I love just how quickly the scene goes from having Vodka be as charming and cheerful as usual, only to immediately escalate and establish him as an immense threat. Like, this is what I want more of. I don't want, just villains beating up the main characters or whatever, and that's how they establish how they're, intimidating or whatever. This is what I want. This is that good stuff. Vodka and Vegeta begin their fight. Vegeta fires a final flash, and then Vodka proceeds to just put it in his portal. Now, I like the fact he doesn't just immediately send it right back to him. He specifically beats Vegeta down until he's, knocked out of Super Saiyan Blue. And then once Vegeta is, on his knees, once he's, beaten, then he gives it back to him. It's like he had the final flash as, extra insurance. And then immediately after absolutely demolishing Vegeta, he proceeds to portal up to Trunks, pat him on the head, and warmly greet him. I love this guy.
He's very conniving. He's always on top of things. He's an active protagonist too. He's not the type of protagonist who just sits on a throne and waits for things to happen. No, he's always front and center. Whenever shit's going down, he's watching it from afar, or hey guys, what's up? Or it's ooh, they're conniving. Ooh, I hope it works. It's yes. It's oh, what's that? You're trading? Oh, how cute.
Whis is discussing Vodka's origins. Vodka will just show up, reveal he was eavesdropping, and run amok of things. Vegeta and the others are thinking about using the Dragon Balls. Vodka will show up, reveal he was eavesdropping, and that he's already got them. Then he'll toss them into a portal, advise Dende not to use the Namekian ones because he will know, and then pieces out. Vegeta's training with the Grand Priest. Vodka knows. Krillin's worried about damaging the Earth. Vodka's got him covered. His ability allows him to both be constantly on the run whilst always being one step ahead, and it is pure genius. Alright, now with that out of the way, we gotta talk about the ending. Now, to my knowledge, this is where Dragon Ball Super Kai ends. It was not cancelled, more chapters were not planned. This is it. It is in fact finished. This is the actual ending. I of course have some mixed feelings about this, with how it kind of undoes the whole thing with Vodka finally obtaining freedom through dying on his own accord. But at the same time, Vodka faking his death and evading everyone once again does fit perfectly with how he's constantly a step ahead throughout most of the story. But it is still really confusing that it just kind of ends here. Maybe the creator originally planned to make a sequel, or maybe they just left it open-ended in case they ever felt like continuing it. Who's to say? As confusing as I find the ending, especially with how it affects Vodka, it thankfully doesn't ruin anything for me. I absolutely still love Vodka and this fan manga despite of it, so that's nice. Anyways, I just wanted to quickly go over other aspects of Vodka I like. I like his design. Again, going back to the other fan mangas, they'd usually have a lot of designs that very much felt fan-made, there's just way too much going on. Even with some of the best fan mangas, they have this exact problem. But Vodka's design honestly feels like it could pass off as something official. Only thing I'd change is maybe the color of his clothes, since it makes him a bit too visually similar to the Great Saiyaman Gohan. But also, to be fair, Toriyama's also kind of done this before, so it's weirdly faithful in that way, I guess. I don't know. Point is, he's got a good design, and I like it.
It's crazy. Even his clone has so much charisma. This isn't even him, but it's also still representative of him as a character. It's he's so fun and charming. It's aloha. And I think the moment where that officially sold me on the manga, that told me I need to share this with people, it's this one moment. It's when he's just met Goku, and he's he randomly brings in Pan, and the traditional fan manga thing where it's oh, you know where this is going. Pan's gonna get really dark and edgy, and Pan's gonna be, like, killed for no reason. Like many fan properties do for some reason. They keep trying to murder this baby. But yeah, it's like, I never understood it. So I was waiting for it, I was anticipating. It's like, oh wow, we gotta make sure how big, terrible, and bad this new villain is, you know, so he's willing to kill a child. But no, actually. Instead what he does is he just uses it to, like, he merely threatens, but he doesn't actually do anything that bad with Pan. It's only to, like, instigate Goku. And even then, like, there's later on where he's just kind of, like, messing with her. Like, he's not actually doing anything all that, like, evil. And even then, like, he opts to, like, the way he fights is, like, a lot more unique, you know, because he fights with portals. And, like, the paneling as well was really fun. Like, I was watching this action scene and I was like, yeah, you know what? I think there's something here. And again, like, his whole, like, personality was, like, something that I was already starting to get drawn to more and more the more I kept reading him. So I was like, you know what, I have to share this. So, like, as soon as I wrapped up chapter 4, I immediately sent it, because I was like, you know what, this is gonna be a good one. And thus, LBA stumbled upon it too, and him and I started reading it together.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's everything Vodka related I wanted to get out of my system, for now at least. But there's still other parts of DBS Kai I want to yap about, and yap about I will. There isn't going to be much order to this part, so let's just jump into it. I really like how Vegeta is given tons of spotlight in this. I feel like the story hasn't played the role of the protagonist really well and in a natural way. I will say I am a bit iffy with how Vegeta uses Ultra Instinct, even though he specifically said he didn't want to do that and wants to go in his own way and whatnot. But I will give the story a pass simply because it actually does build up to it. Vodka's constantly talking about Vegeta's sharp mind or whatever, as well as Vegeta getting it from training with the Grand Priest, so it's like a sort of like using fire against fire type of thing.
I also, like, this is probably one of the only few mangas where I've actually, like, okay that Vegeta gets Ultra Instinct. Because, you know, I love that, like, in the official canon, they get, like, go off and do their own thing, but, like, so, like, I've never been a big fan of when fan mangas give Vegeta Ultra Instinct, because I just never felt like it fit his character. But in this regard, with how, like, Vodka particularly pushes Vegeta, like, as a character, that, like, it kind of works for me. It's like, I still prefer Ultra Ego, and will take it, like, any day of the week, but this isn't bad.
I also just like how, in general, everyone's character feels on point. Goku's got a good balance of lighthearted moments and more serious stuff, neither end feeling like it's doing too much. I also really like Boo's usage in this.
This moment here is just such a cute and, like, really cool idea that, like, Boo absorbs everyone to make it, like, a fair battle. Like, I want to see that happen in the actual show. That just sounds so cool. It's a smart idea, and the idea of, like, a sentient good Buhan is, like, this is, like, the kind of thing where it's, like, it's fan service, but fan service done right, where, like, it introduces something like, hey, you guys know Buhan. It's like, yes, I do know Buhan. Well, here's, like, a good version of Buhan, who has, like, different techniques and power sets and moves that you don't actually get to see him use much.
It helps make everyone else feel a lot more useful too by giving Boo some nice spotlight. Also, the comedic moments are just so on point with Toriyama's style of humor. Vodka's pretty calm most of the time, but he's got some moments where he gets mad and it's played off for comedy. Like when he gets really pissed about Vegeta's training with the Grand Priest after Vodka already offered to help him train.
Like he gets turned to chocolate and gets come back like, yeah, that was surprising. But being eaten after turned into a chocolate, even my calm self would be mad. Like he's earned that. It's like, bro, even I got my patience. That is just not it.
And oh my god, the manga struck gold with Boo and Frieza's dynamic.
Oh, and I just love the bit where like Frieza and like Buhan are just like at ends with each other. Like Frieza accidentally hits Buhan and he's like, oh, you can regenerate, it doesn't matter. And then like Boo gets him back. like he just fucking hits him multiple times with the Neo.
Like Vodka's like, but Vodka's like, he's not even trying to hit me.
Like, it's such a good moment. Like, I love it so much. Like, especially the fact that he uses Neo Tri-Beam is the most spite I've ever seen. It's so petty. Yeah, it's like the TN personality just took over. It's like, yeah, it's like, yeah. He's like, oh, what are you doing, you Mr. Sai? Oh, sorry, I couldn't see well. I guess I'll heal you. It's like, you son of a bitch.
And then, later on, when they get separated from Vodka and Vegeta because of a barrier that can only be broken with insults and stuff, so then they just start insulting each other over and over again in order to break it. Dude, I love this manga so much, man. Also, can't forget about the art and the action and the paneling and stuff like that. I really like all of that too. The paneling is simple and easy to follow. It's got some really nice choreography too, especially when they have like Vodka using the portals and stuff. The art's also really nice to look at. Toshio Wataru does a really good job replicating Toriyama's more like Z-era designs and stuff.
Unironically, another thing this fan manga does really well is just the paneling. Like, you know, I don't want to like compare fan mangas because I don't think it's necessarily fair, but like Kakami, I mean, I feel like it's the one fan manga people point to for like incredible art, and it does. Kakami's like art is so fucking good and really detailed, but there are points where I think the paneling gets a bit too cluttered for its own good. Sometimes it becomes a bit hard to read and follow. It's still like a really good looking manga. Like my gripes on the narrative of that manga aside, it is still like an incredible looking manga. I mean, like almost every page is like wallpaper worthy to some extent. While like Super Kai has like a more simple art style. It's not quite Toriyama's, it's not quite Toyotaro's, but like it's still recognizable as Dragon Ball. And like this guy probably like replicated like Toriyama's paneling like the closest, because he's generally like these are so fun and easy to follow. Like it's not too cluttered. The movement and posing is like very easy to understand. It's just well done.
I really dig how Goku and Vegeta are wearing their End of Z outfits. They rock them really well, and it's really cool to see them with their more modern forms and stuff like that. I thought the covers for each chapter were really nice and charming, although a lot of them can just be like characters kind of aura farming. I like how the first and final chapters tie into each other. The first has Goku and Vegeta in front with a larger, more imposing Vodka behind them. And then you got the final cover that has Vodka in front with both Goku and Vegeta towering over him. You know, symbolic of the fact that they've finally been able to close the gap between themselves and Vodka. I like the cover where it's Vodka hosting like a little mini quiz show. I thought that was really charming. The Angel, or I guess Ultra Instinct family photo one is really wholesome, but also kind of sad with how things play out in the story. But I think my favorite one would have to be Chapter 18's cover. It's quite simple, but I think it does a really good job expressing Vodka's loneliness. It's also ironically the chapter where we learn that this is where he spends most of his time, standing on a rock floating in space by himself, with really only his duplicates to keep him company. Poor guy. I think that just about covers everything I want to go over when it comes to the original story. Keyword being original. Now, of course, when talking about Vodka and Dragon Ball Super Kai, there's a pretty big elephant in the room to address. No! I am indifferent about Unreal Gaming. I'm indifferent. He is not the creator of Vodka. The creator of Vodka is Toshio Wataru, author of the Dragon Ball Super Kai Fan-Manga, who this monster made a 3-hour-long, heavily butchered recap on which led to the worst Dragon Ball fan series of all time. His version of Vodka, or I guess Mono, sure, this version could be Mono, is basically just a completely different character. He immediately goes from a morally ambiguous, tragic ball of charm to a generically evil and bland Zamasu ripoff. They massacred my boy. He also gave Mono a new form for some reason, and it looks ugly as balls. Downgrade of the century, holy. Also, I don't know about you, but I feel it's kind of weird to have someone else's OC be the poster boy of your channel, as opposed to your, actual OC. It's not like using an actual official character. Like, that's some other fan's baby you're waving around, dude. Anyways, there's so much to go over with Unreal Gaming's Dragon Ball Super Kai that it genuinely could be its own video, so I'll probably just do that. Also, this video is kind of long anyways, I guess. Dragon Ball Super Kai by Toshio Wataru is by far the best Dragon Ball fan manga I have ever read. There are certainly a lot of great ones out there, but even then, it's just not a contest for me personally. There's just so much love and attention to detail put into it. You can feel that the author truly loves and understands the series. Ever since I read through it, I've been wanting to make a video on it so badly and just share it around. It really is a shame it isn't nearly as talked about as stuff like Kakame or Multiverse, outside of Unreal Gaming's grubby little hands. Please be sure to show some support to the author themselves. Links to his social media accounts are in the description. The Mondo Cool recap is also in the description, since despite not being 100% accurately translated, it is by far the best way to experience the story for English speakers. I'd also like to thank Sola for being part of the video, giving his thoughts and even being the reason I read Dragon Ball Super Kai in the first place. Thanks a lot, man.
I genuinely love this manga. It's very short, it doesn't draw itself out, Vodka's just such a fun villain. The story is relatively simple, It honestly feels like it could be like a super movie in a way. Like, and as like a potential continuation from the Tournament of Power, it's not a bad one, you know. It's like pretty good, but like, yeah, no, like this manga's just great. I think that's all. I think that's about all I have to say on the matter in terms of like Vodka and this manga. It doesn't trace as well. That's another thing. That's nice.
Mega thank you to Lavender Toons for once again doing the thumbnail art. I love it. Thank you. And thank you for watching this video. I'm glad you've enjoyed hearing me ramble about good old Vodka and his wacky shenanigans. Actually, just adding this in real quick, I noticed that Hearts, Merus, and Vodka all came out in the same month, I'm pretty sure, which I find really interesting given how Hearts and Merus are basically the two sides of Vodka. Of course, I don't think any of them actually like copied each other or whatever, given just how closely they were made, but I think it's really funny to point out. So yeah, that's basically it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Keep your eyes peeled for my next big analysis discussion video thingy. Yeah. Anyways, take care.